and talk about some over-under win totals for the AFC. Caesars Sportsbook has now made it to where you can lock in bets. So give them your thanks as they drop the win totals for the season. Of course, there's 32 teams, and we're going to keep it simple this episode and just go with the AFC, spread out this content, and get into the NFC on Friday's show. But we will start with the AFC North. The Ravens are at 8.5 wins. Over, under.
Oh, under without Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, I'm going to say under as well, requesting the trade. I just don't see Lamar being a Raven. Bengals tied with the Chiefs for 11.5 wins. Over, under.
They've had some good years back to back, and it's kind of hard to keep that running.
11.5 is high.
I was about to say, and the AFC North is really difficult.
Yeah.
I am going to have to go the under in that.
You're going to go the under. I'm going to go the under too, but just barely. I mean, if they win 11 games, it's great. I was feeling over at first, so I'm going to stick with the over. I think they're going to win about 12, 13 games this year. Unfortunately, if they win 11, that they're going to fall under that threshold. Steelers, 8.5 wins.
Under.
Under.
Under, sorry.
I'm actually going to go over because they shocked me a little bit last year. Kenny Pickett showed some promise. George Pickens is that guy. Najee Harris doing his thing. I'm going to go over, but not by much. Cleveland Browns, 8.5 wins.
This is shocking. I'm going to actually go over because if I'm going to have the Steelers going under, the Ravens going under, I'm going to have to go to Browns. I think Deshaun Watson is going to finally adjust to whatever they're doing in Cleveland. It's not a hard offense. Nick Chubb is at the very worst. Yeah, they got Elijah Moore. At the very worst, Nick Chubb is the third best running back in the entire NFL. At the very worst.
Right.
Yeah, I'm going to go over, and I think Cleveland's going to make the playoffs next season.
I am too. I'm going over. It's an easy over. This shows that the league is sleeping on the Cleveland Browns at 8.5 wins. I mean, they forget that Deshaun didn't play 11 games last year. Amari Cooper quietly balled out. Again, you said it, Nick Chubb. Just imagine if Kareem Hunt came back. They've got a defense, so I'm definitely easy. This might be one of the easiest bets for over-unders. Cleveland Browns, 8.5 wins, and I believe in Stefanski as well. All right, AFC South, Jags, 9.5 wins.
I'm going to hit the over on that because the AFC South is getting worse and worse by the minute. And Jacksonville is probably the only good team in the South. So I'm going to hit the over on that.
Yeah, I'm going to take the over as well. I could easily see Jacksonville winning 10 to 12 games next year. Probably a sweet spot around 11, but Trevor Lawrence is going to clearly be the best quarterback in that division. It's crazy to think that we'll have Trevor Lawrence, maybe CJ Stroud, and, Bryce Young or Anthony Richardson, whoever it is. We're going to have literally 3 quarterbacks in that division that were drafted within the last 3 seasons, and 2 of them coming within, this coming NFL draft. I'll take the over on the Jags too, though. Titans at 7.5 wins.
I'm going to go on the under because as much as, is there a way they can say it, equally?
Like a push? That's all they always hit you with the half. They make you pick.
I'm going to go to slight over, slightest over, just because Mike Vrabel is one hell of a coach.
Literally.
This team plays defense. Mike Vrabel knows how to win football games. He's top 3 coach in the league for me. So I'm going to say slightly over.
Yeah, I'm going to go with slight over as well. Titans at 7.5. Just feels kind of low for them. I know Derrick Henry's on the trade block, and it's actually going to be a topic for the next show. Derrick Henry trade destinations. That's crazy to think about within itself. I'll take the over, though, on the Titans 7.5. Colts, very low, 6.5 wins.
I'm smashing the under, smashing, smashing, hitting it 5 times, bam, 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 and taking the under. Who is the quarterback?
Yeah,
let's just leave it at that.
Yeah, I'm gonna go under as well. It feels like I could lean over, but it's do I even trust them to win 7 games? Because it was really hard for a lot of teams last year, including my Saints, to win 7 games. I'm gonna go over on the Colts, but if they won 6 or maybe even 5, wouldn't shock me. But I'm gonna go the under as well. Texans even lower at 5.5 wins.
Under, you're gonna put a rookie quarterback with a rookie head coach with absolutely no talent in Houston. Under.
Yeah, I'm going to go the under as well with the Texans. And again, if they win just at 5 games, our bet is still safe. Now the AFC East, Bills, 10.5 wins.
This is...
See, this one's tricky too. Because Josh Allen showed us some weird stuff last year. Well, weird, but kind of not when you look at his scouting report.
I am going to hit the over just barely because I'll take them 11 wins. But Aaron Rodgers in that division is going to create some issues. You know what? Yeah, I'm going to go the over just by a half game. Yeah, 11 games.
I'll go over on Buffalo as well. Clearly a powerhouse team. Josh Allen was a little turnover prone last year, but I'm still waiting for a move like, an awesome running back, whether it's in the draft, whether it's in the, free agency. I'd love to see DeAndre Hopkins go to the Bills. I think that would be crazy. Patriots feels kind of low for them. 7.5 wins for New England. What do you think?
I'm going to hit the slight over on that. Like, they had some issues, lost some two stupid games that they should not have even lost, especially the one against, I want to say the Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah.
That is, I don't see a Bill Belichick coach team doing that ever again.
Yeah.
So I'll give them the slight over.
There's rumors that apparently Bill Belichick will do whatever it takes to get Lamar Jackson. That would be crazy as hell if Lamar ended up in a division with Josh Allen, Tua, and Aaron Rodgers. I mean, wow.
If they get Lamar Jackson, I'm smashing the over button late.
Yeah. Oh, easy. Especially because they just picked up Juju, Gesicki, and I think they just landed Damian Harris, if I'm not mistaken, or
not Damian Harris, because they had Damian Harris before.
Yeah, okay. So Damian Harris. I think Damian Harris might have went to was it the Raiders? Maybe the Texans? I don't know, man. People bouncing all over the yard. But yeah, I'm going to take the slight over for the Patriots. 7.5 just feels very low for a Bill Belichick ran team. Shout out to Bill Belichick. He's only 18 wins all time behind Don Shula. So he's clearly, showing his longevity, his tenure in the NFL as one of the best coaches ever. I'm going to take the over for the Patriots on 7.5 wins. Dolphins at a tricky one. I feel like I want to buy all in on Miami because they're just so exciting to watch at some points last year. But Tua is interesting. He shrunk against big time defenses. Dolphins at 9.5 wins.
Under. I think this season, once, especially if, let's forget Lamar, if Aaron Rodgers gets in that division, it's going to be extremely tough. And Miami had some problems within the division already. And I've seen, even when Tua was healthy, I've seen some holes. I think I'm going to have to take the under in that.
Take the under on the Dolphins 9.5. I'm going to take the over, but just a slight over. I could see 10, maybe 11 wins. Mike McDaniel really impressed me last year. Again, Tua was on pace for a 4,600-yard, 34 touchdown, 10 interception year, which crazy enough is what Justin Herbert did in his rookie year in the NFL. Just a testament to obviously Herbie and Tua as well. But yeah, knowing that Tua was on pace for that, injuries came in, concussions were really rough. But a big shout out to Mike McDaniel. He really, really shocked me. And knowing that Tyreek and Jalen Waddle are there, I'm going to take a slight over for the Dolphins. Jets, 9.5 wins, figuring out everything they're going through in the offseason. Over under. I think September and October are going to be kind of sticky for New York once Aaron Rodgers comes in. They're going to have to figure it out,
It's like over, but they're not going to be what everyone thinks they are because everyone forgets that Aaron Rodgers will not likely come to off-season. Like, whatever stuff they do the off-season, whether it's OTAs, whether it's minicamp, Aaron Rodgers is not going to be there because that's what he does.
Right.
And he thinks that because he knows Nathaniel Hackett's offense, he doesn't need to be there. On top of that, Aaron Rodgers does not have the patience to work with young receivers. And guess what New York has? Nothing but young players.
That's my big
outside.
Point. He gets
Garrett
pissed
Wilson
with a Romeo Dobbs, a Christian Watson, people dropping passes. Like, what's he going to do when the rookies are rookies? Can't help it.
So your young playmakers, you have Breece Hall, and you also have Garrett Wilson.
Yep.
I'm going to give them 10 wins, but they're not going to be this 12, 13-win team that everyone thinks that they're going to be once he gets there.
Yeah, and definitely not Super Bowl contenders. I've been saying it. If it was like if the Packers walk into if the Jets walk in to Thanksgiving 500, I'm not shocked. If they're end of November, through the first few months of the year and they're sitting just a game at or above 500, like I'm not going to be shocked. Aaron Rodgers is going to feel the kinks with this Jets team. Like, again, I'll say, Breece Hall might drop a pass, might not convert, might fumble. Garrett Wilson might drop a pass, might convert, might not convert, might fumble. I mean, that's the thing that Aaron Rodgers gets mad about. And we've seen him kind of with the Tom Brady effect. You drop a pass, he won't look your way again. He will ghost you for the whole game because he will lose that trust for you. And that's unfortunate because you see a Romeo Dobbs, you see a Christian Watson, you see an Allen Lazard finally come forward with Aaron Rodgers, whether it's been a couple games and they're a rookie. So it's like, hey, where's a football? Or you're Allen Lazard over the last few years and being that consistent, wide receiver 2 or trying to be that wide receiver 2 kind of 3 position. for Green Bay. Jets at 9.5. I'm going to take a slide over as well. If they win 11, 12 games, I'm not shocked, but it's going to be it's going to be worked for very intensely, and their playoff depth is really going to be a true judgment of that Aaron Rodgers deal, what they do for the trade package, how much money they pay him. It's a whole fiasco in itself. All right, down to the AFC West, and then we're going to get out of here on the NFL with AJL episode 14. Chiefs 11.5 wins.
Slight over. Like, this team is just, they just rule the AFC West at this point.
Yeah.
I would not be shocked if it's just 11, but I'm going to go with 12 because it just feels Patrick Mahomes gets that first seed. Patrick Mahomes holds the AFC Championship game. That's what the Chiefs do in his 5 years, and it's going to be 6. Slight over, 12 wins.
I'm going to take a slide over as well. Super Bowl champs. We'll see what they do with the pick in the NFL draft. I hated that Clyde Edwards-Helaire was good, but didn't necessarily pan out. And the Chiefs need, they need some guys. I'm not going to say that they're empty, but going to get an extra receiver would be nice. And I mean, look at Pacheco last year, 7th round pick, and now he's a Super Bowl champion as a rookie, or now walking into his second year. I'll take a slide over on the Chiefs as well. Chargers, 9.5 wins. This was a team that finally made the playoffs last year, went 10-7, and then blew a 25-point playoff lead to the Jacksonville Jaguars after Trevor Lawrence threw 4 interceptions.
I want to hit the under because I despise Brandon Staley as a head coach. I completely despise. But the AFC West is going to be weaker than we thought that they were like last season. So I'm going to give them like 10 wins, so it's slight over. Justin Herbert is a real deal. But them not paying or keeping Austin Eckler is going to be a huge deal. Like, I don't think a massive mistake, and I don't think people realize how big of a deal Austin Eckler is, especially as he is as certain as it is to line up in your field all the time. I will slight over because I'm going to give them 10 wins, but they're not going to. Yeah, slight over, 10 wins.
Yeah. And the thing about Austin Eckler, too, is the dude's actually won, or not won. I think he scored 40 touchdowns over the last 2 years from the line of scrimmage. That's rushing and receiving. Austin Eckler is a true monster. Yeah, Chargers 9.5 wins. I'm going to take a slide over as well. I don't see this team being a team that's just going to grind their way to 8 or 9 wins. Like, I feel like they finally arrived. There's been a couple seasons with Justin Herbert where they, on paper, far and away should have been the better team. They should have had more wins than they did. But now that they cracked into the playoffs, unfortunately blew the playoff lead. But hey, they won double-digit games under Brandon Staley. Brandon Staley has done as best as he could with the Chargers. They're still trying to find a way to stay healthy for an entire season. Having a Bosa, having an Eckler, having a Keenan Allen to truly be around all the time to make their impact. Broncos 8.5 wins. What you got?
Just because I've given Los Angeles the over, I'm going to give them the under. I know. Yeah, I'm going to give them the under.
Dang.
I think there's a reason Seattle moved on from Russell Wilson, and I think we're now seeing what it is. Like, there's slippage. A lot of what Russell Wilson was with the ability to create outside the pocket and his athleticism, and that is clearly on the decline. Sean Payton is a great coach, but like, he's not bringing Vic Fangio with him back as a defensive coordinator. I think Vic is over in Miami. And had Vic came, but they might know that defense was going to still be elite. I think the defense, which has been really elite, is going to take a step back. And you're already hearing talk about them wanting to move on from 1 or 2 of their playmakers. I'm going to take the under.
Taking the under on the Broncos at 8.5. I feel like this is another easy bet. I'm really, really believing in Sean Payton. Of course, I'm a first-time witness to what he's done. This is the first time I've ever actually went that in depth about my belief for Sean Payton. We know I'm a Saints fan, though, but what Sean Payton did in New Orleans, I think he's going to do a lot of the same thing in Denver. I said it last year when I was still with Petty Sports that Denver was not going to be a good team. They had a brand new coach. They had a brand new quarterback. They had a brand new owner of said team. It was just a lot of noise. The breakup with Russell Wilson, players were coming out in the middle of the season saying everything. Sean Payton, I believe, mends all that. He's already spent a nice check in free agency, getting some key guys in there. They came out and said they're not going to trade Sutton. They're not going to trade Judy. I feel like this is one of the easier bets. Again, Broncos 8.5 wins. I'm smashing the over just like you were with the Colts on the under. Now we have the Raiders at 7.5 wins who have Jimmy Garoppolo now leading the black hole.
I am smashing the under, like, hard. Like, if there's like, you thought it was smashing the under hard on Indianapolis, I'm smashing the under here. And simply because Josh McDaniels is not that guy. and that locker room is going to implode with him as a. You saw it already. Darren Waller had his wedding, did not invite the head coach.
Yep.
This guy is not liked within the locker room, and if you don't have a head coach that the players are going to fight for, and now your leader, Derek Carr, is gone. And I think people underestimate Derek Carr is the. I think people look at Derek Carr as an average quarterback for what he does on the field, not
Right.
realizing the leader he is. And that season, not that
I'm
season, but
ready
the
to
season before
experience it.
that, the season before that, when everything was going wrong off the field for the Las Vegas Raiders, who was the one guy who was able to galvanize that entire locker room? When Henry Ruggs had a situation where the car crashed and killed a woman, when he had another player get booted off the team for off-field legal problems. Then you had the head coach at the time in John Gruden with those emails with racist and misogynistic comments, and he got booted off the team.
Derek Carr was the only constant. I will give that to you. He was the only one that stayed true and was like, I'm going to do my best for this damn team.
He kept that locker room together. And then even last season, when he went up on that podium and started crying and saying that there are people who are not putting their all in terms of team. And what did the team do? From 3 wins, and then they started turning around to the point where in the second last season or the second last week of the season, the Raiders were still in with a shout to make the playoffs. Losing Derek Carr and having a joke of a head coach, yeah, smashing the under on the Las Vegas Raiders.
Talk about my new quarterback, baby. Let's go. Give him his flowers. I like it. I like it. I feel a little better every day about
You should.
Derek Carr. He is a baller, though. He's a gamer. He's a leader. Very grateful for the presence he's going to bring into the middle of a Saints team that, is, of course, as a fan, I think they're closer. But the media doesn't think they're super far off. I think they're farther than the media thinks. But either way, having Derek Carr is going to be great. Yeah, Raiders at 7.5 wins. I'm going to take the under, not only because they lose Derek Carr, but because Jimmy G was never asked to win a major game on his arm or to make a major throw to get them to the next point. Some people might disagree, but Jimmy G has never been asked to be Derek Carr. Jimmy G has always leaned on a top 5 defense in the years he's been a starter with San Francisco, while Derek Carr never had a top 20 defense in his decade career and the 10-year tenure with the Raiders. So Jimmy is going to be asked to carry, which he cannot do. I think it's going to be kind of ugly for Jimmy G this year. He's also injury prone. He's going to be in that division as well. So I'm going to go the under on these NFL win totals for the AFC.